Welcome back, Truth Seeker. We were discussing the death of the rapper Huey in St. Louis, killed reportedly late June 25th, 2020 in a shooting. Very vague details. And what I was talking about is how his music career began in 2006, his professional career, which was 14 years ago. And we talk about these 14 rituals because in the language of Gematria, dead equals 14 and end equals 14. And then I also talked about how in the year 2014 in the St. Louis area, there was a lot of trauma because of the Michael Brown killing, story of death, the end of a life. 2014 St. Louis, this rapper from St. Louis. So I was talking about 14. So somebody left a comment and said, Zach, there's an interesting story about 14. Can you please look it up? And the story was George Junius Stinney Jr. And he is the youngest person to be put to death by execution by the United States government. And he was 14 years old when this happened. And notice his conviction was overturned in 2014. 70 years after he was executed. So, I already have a post on this, but just to show you how I began looking at this to see if there was something about his name in 14. Again, if you're new here, for the first 2 years that I taught Gematria, I didn't know anything about reverse Gematria. And what I did know about were these two ciphers. So when we put in his name, these were the two ciphers I've taught since 2013. The first cipher, his name equals 285. I don't see anything there. That's the alphabetic order. So just making each letter of the alphabet a number. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, E is 5. All the way up to the end of the alphabet. Z, the 26th letter, is 26. So what's considered the most pure cipher is the next cipher, the alphabetic order with the rules numerology. And A still 1, B still 2, C still 3, D still 4. Where it changes is when you get to J, the 10th letter. The numerology of 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1, so J becomes 1. K, the 11th letter, becomes 1 plus 1 is 2. L, the 12th letter, becomes 1 plus 2 is 3. M, the 13th letter, 1 plus 3 is 4. All the way up to Z, the 26th letter, becomes 2 plus 6 is 8. So very simple. And when you put in his full name with that cipher, which is considered the cipher of ciphers, the 105 jumped out right away. And do you know why? It's because if you add 1 through 14 together, it equals 105. 105 is what is called the 14th triangular number. And if you come to gematrinator.com and you click on 105, you'll see a pop-up window. It shows up on mine, but the way my screen records, you can't see the pop-up, but it shows that it's the 14th triangular. Another place you can go for this same result is gematriaeffect.news. Click the calculator tab, put in the value. You'll get the exact same values, same ciphers right here. The two ciphers down here are just like gematrinator.com, just running the alphabetic order in reverse, making Z1 back to A as 26 and using the rules of numerology. Again, also very relevant. But the most pure cipher, that 105, the 14th triangular, on this website, if you click on the number, it'll give you this window that I do believe you can see on here. And it'll tell you it's not prime, it's not square, it's not a Fibonacci. It is the 14th triangular number. So, gematriaeffect.news. There's about to be a big system update for this. It's going to make it so that you have the running track of words so you can compare and a few other things. And you can download the app. It's 100% free to download. It's on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. If you come to gematriaeffect.news, what's nice about this is it runs offline. So you don't need an internet connection to decode things. If you wanted to decode something but the internet wasn't there, you didn't want to use your data, what have you. So totally free to download, no tracking or anything. Again, I paid for these apps, and I used a little company here in Yakima to get it done. And it was nice to have a local company, but at the same time, it's like, well, there's probably, I'll save it for another time. Anyway, ultimately, the app works well. It just took a lot longer than it was supposed to, and it ended up being a lot more expensive. They suggested, just so you guys know, that when they put out there, like, well, you could make the money back by charging for it. And I said, no, because I don't want to. I want people to have this knowledge in their hands. So anyway, you can download them for your phones, and there will be a big system update that'll make the app even better. But anyway, 105, the 14th triangular number. And again, you know, somebody just watched the last video where we talked about 14, so that prompted them to ask me if there was anything about the death of this young man in 14, and right away, within 5 seconds, because, you know, I'm not explaining things and I'm just punching in the name. You know, this is what we teach on Patreon with How the Sports Are Rigged. These are the exact things we're talking about. Like, for example, if it was the 14th of the month and a team could become 10-5 in a sport or 10-5 against an opponent all time, that is very likely on the 14th of the month. These are the types of things that I've been teaching about on my Patreon, where I appreciate everyone who supports. Thank you very much. But these patterns are so redundant. So it's not like I saw the 105 and then I had to search, cherry pick. No, this is what it is. This is what looking at history as we know it is. News that was contrived for the sake of the psychological impact it would have on the populace. A story like this, a story about a murderous 14-year-old, you know, this is the kind of stuff that for decades was in the news. Dangerous black man, dangerous black teenager, be on the lookout for this black person around 5'10", you know, normal height that most people are. This kind of stuff throughout our entire news history. Black people being violent. You go through the history of news, you apply Gematria, and you just go, oh my God, they've been doing this for so long. Giving us these stories by the numbers, performing rituals by the numbers, overturning his criminal sentence that he was executed for in 2014. And at the time, Black Lives Matter was coming to power, right? Black Lives Matter started after the Michael Brown killing in St. Louis in 2014. And then this young man dies. And he's shot in a place called North County, which has the same Gematria as Black Lives Matter. It's just, these rituals are deep. But for a few more things, again, his name 105, the 14th triangular. The word dead with the alphabetic order and with the alphabetic order in rules numerology, two most traditional ciphers 14, and that's because it's all single-digit letters. D's 4, E's 5, A's 1, D's 4. The word end in the most pure cipher 14. And some other things. From his birthday, October 21st, 1929, and there's probably more to this because I did this decode real quick. From his birthday to the day he was put to death, June 16th, 1944, was 239 days later. That's the 52nd prime number. He was put to death by the state. Government equals 52, authority 52. There's a whole lot more to this number too. If you haven't read my first book, you can learn a long list of 52 and what this number is all about. There's a reason that there's 52 cards in a deck. And there's a reason the word earth equals 52 as well. Plus a whole lot more. And with regards to this pattern, 239, the 52nd prime, and 52. Again, if you guys weren't here the season that ended in Super Bowl 52, we showed why the news story on September 23rd foreshadowed that the Super Bowl would be the Patriots and the Eagles, because Donald Trump took on the NFL over the flag protests on September 23rd, 23/9, like 239, the 52nd prime, when the U.S. flag was sewn in Philadelphia against 239 Arch Street. Before the season began, we knew why the Patriots would be there. We were just looking for the NFC team. When Trump did that, we said, there's our Super Bowl. It makes too much sense. Eagles, Philadelphia, the home of the flag, 239 Arch Street, versus the Patriots with the flag on the helmet. There's a few other things there too, but that was your Super Bowl. Zach Ertz scored the winning touchdown, number 86 for the Eagles, 86 days after his birthday, and the national anthem had been adopted 86 years before that NFL season. That's how scripted our history is, the sports and the news. And, showing these combinations a million more times, including predicting the date of the flooding in Houston, August 27th, 2017, days before it happened. Told Texas to look out for that date, the 239th day of the year, the 52nd prime, 52 date numerology to boot. Flood and hurricane equals 52, big pattern in history. Sure enough, after the flooding of Harvey, the first pitcher to pitch in the MLB was at Houston The first pitcher to pitch in the MLB at Houston after the flooding was Matt Harvey. 52 days to the start of the World Series. Said why that day would be Astros over the Dodgers. And I did predict that it would be in Game 7. It ended up being Game 6. But still, this was all predicted in August. So in August, we said why the Astros would beat the Dodgers in the World Series. I said in Game 7. Vice News wrote the article. Here, just to make a point, you guys. Vice News wrote this article hating on my prediction, even though it was right, because they made fun of how I had it in Game 7 when it ended up. Or, you know what? Maybe it ended in Game 7 and I had it ending in Game 6. Whatever it was I had that year, it ended up being, if I had predicted it was going to end Game 6, it ended Game 7. If I said it was going to end Game 7, it ended Game 6. It was one of those two scenarios. But to hate on me for that when everything else was right, again, this is the article right here. Vice Sports, Wacko, you know, this is the news agency that partners with HBO and whatnot. Keep in mind, USA Today had written an article like this hating on me too because of my Super Bowl 50 prediction, which was right on in October, why the Broncos would beat the Panthers and Von Miller be the MVP. Got hate from USA Today years later for this. And realized they could write articles like this because we've just been killing sports, college and pro, year after year. But they made fun of this. They wrote this article making fun of everything I wrote about 52, all this 52, 239, 52nd prime, just to make a point. And the guy they got to write the article, his name is Sean Newell, to make fun of my prediction, which was correct after the fact. Sean Newell, 52. Super Bowl 52, by the way, was hosted in Minnesota. Minnesota 52. Now you got the I Can't Breathe 52 coming out of Minnesota. Remember the 106. We'll come back to that. So anyway, this young man killed by the government 239 days after his birthday, the 52nd prime, government 52, authority 52. He was born October 21st, 1929, a date with a life lesson number of 52. And then his surname, Stinney. Look at the Gematria, our 4 base ciphers, the alphabetic order with the rules of numerology, the reverse alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. The exact same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. And then the ciphers where they differ, 106 and 79, this is very relevant. His birth numerology also had a 79 in the path. O.J. Simpson's birthday, July 9th. This year, Ford Bronco announced that they're bringing back the Ford Bronco on O.J. Simpson's birthday as a marketing gimmick at this time with Black Lives Matter. Part of how we called the white Broncos to beat the Black Panthers led by Cam Newton when Huey P. Newton founded the Black Panther Party in the Bay Area where Super Bowl 50 was. Huey P. Newton equals 58 in the most pure cipher, the dark blue one. Cam Newton became the 58th quarterback to start in the Super Bowl, losing to the white Broncos. The week before the Super Bowl, FX put out the new show about O.J. Simpson and the white Bronco chase starring Cuba Gooding Jr. Anyway, this young man had a 79 in his birth numerology path, murder 79. And then the 106, black is 106, Black Lives Matter 106, I Can't Breathe 106. NASCAR on June 10th, 10/6, introduced the Black Lives Matter car, plus a whole lot more. But prophecy is 106 and 52. And again, a lot of this has to do with the Acts 7:7 and Acts 7:6 from the Bible, the prophecy of those verses about the 400 years of mistreatment in a foreign land, being slaves in a foreign land, which in terms of U.S. history, the 400-year anniversary of slavery was August 20th, 2019, not long ago. The verse after that, the nation gets punished, and you could look at what's going on right now with coronavirus in the U.S., the hardest hit in the world. Some people will look at that and say, well, that's just like Acts 7:6 and 7:7. And then what becomes creepy is when you know Gematria, slave, Negro, blues, Rasta, they all equal 76. The nation was built on slavery, founded in this 76 year. And, you know, the Million Man March on the day, leaving 76 days left in the year. Acts 7:6. Barack Obama equals 76. Lori Lightfoot, 76. She's the mayor in Chicago right now who has the same birthday as Obama, August 4th. It's just, you know, it's not hard to see what's going on. And Acts 7:7, the nation gets punished. United States 77. What are the odds? But this young man, he was killed in 1944. Again, big fatal number with Black history. MLK on 4-4. Malcolm X on a date with 44 numerology. His assassin, Thomas Hagen's name equals 44. Thomas Hagen, 44. He got 44 years in prison. Marvin Gaye, the Prince of Motown, killed on the last day of being 44 years old. Tammy Terrell, who sung with him, died 44 days from her birthday. And the list goes on and on and on and on. Could add this young man to the list. Execution 44, kill 44, police state 44, military 44. In the early days of the country. Slavery. Then, with the Civil War, the fading out of slavery. And then came the 14th Amendment, which many historians contend made us all slaves. The 14th Amendment. That's something to think about too. Talking about young dead man, young man age 14, supposedly the youngest ever killed by the state. And yeah, there's a lot to that number 14. Here's another one I should have been thinking of. The word slave in the most pure cipher is also 14. Again, this is why you got to know these numbers in Gematria. 59, 14, 76, 31. Remember, Black History Month, February 28th, the 59th day of the year. Motown out in 59. Negro, slave, blues, roster, they're all 59 in that cipher. Even Obama's Secret Service name, Renegade, 59. You know, the white rapper who does black music, Eminem, 59. Think about it. So, 14, slave. That's another one. 14th Amendment. Look it up. Some people say that's when we all became slaves. It was a new form of slavery. And what's modern day slavery? You know, what's the closest thing to modern day slavery? You could actually make a lot of arguments there, but the closest thing is being incarcerated and being used for pennies on the dollar as prison labor. And we know there's a disproportionate amount of people of darker complexions behind bars. So that is part of a system that does operate by a code. And it's very interesting how that code is used again and again and again. So yes, you were right. It was good to ask if there was a big 14 connection to George. And I don't even want to get into the name George in light of everything going on with George Floyd right now. You know, George Floyd killing Minnesota. I can't breathe. It's all bad. At the time of coronavirus. Here, look this up, you guys. This is 100% factual. Dean Koontz, his birthday is July 9th. Watch this. Dean Koontz's birthday. Just like O.J. Simpson, July 9th, he's 74 years old right now. Remember, in February, there was all this chatter about his book, The Eyes of Darkness, and the Wuhan 400 virus in it. This book's from 1981. There's a virus, a killer virus in the book called the Wuhan 400. And it comes out of Wuhan, China, and it's part of a military conspiracy. And think about, you know, Wuhan coronavirus starting late 2019, right after the 400-year prophecy from Acts 7:6 for the U.S., now the hardest hit nation. And at the Event 201 coronavirus outbreak simulation, they called it 201, big number with the Jesuits, as we've been talking about. But Dean Koontz, from his July 9th birthday to the day the Year of the Rat began, the Year of the Rat, the Chinese New Year. So the Chinese New Year, from his birthday to the Chinese New Year, the Year of the Rat, was his 201st day of his age, 74. The Event 201 simulation took place October 18th, 2019, the day leaving 74 days left in the year. The same day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China. Wuhan 400 military virus, Riddle's numbers, the square root of 400 is 20, it's 2020. In tarot, the 20th card is judgment. What I'm trying to say, you guys, is our history in the world of entertainment and news, they're like all building blocks in our mind that have been encoded, and a lot of them planned out because like, for example, to understand this, A person like Dean Koontz, you know, he's an author. People like his work. Say something like Big Brother says, you know what? Man, this Dean Koontz, a lot of people are seeing his work. We want to put something out there in the consciousness that, you know, no one will ever really pick up on. It's just a detail in his great book. So it's like, you know, the CIA steps in and says, Dean Koontz, you know, this book you're working on right now, can you tuck in this detail about a Wuhan 400 and hit some of these characteristics it has? I think this is how it happens. But they give him to it. They give it to him at that time. And in 1981, too, you guys, because Kobe Bean Bryant's 81, and now he's buried in Corona del Mar, and his career high was 81 points in his 666th game. And vaccination 666. He was in a battle supposedly with a pharmaceutical company while traveling from Catholic Church when he had this fatal accident before being buried in Corona del Mar during the time of coronavirus. Anyway, I'm just saying, it's like mad sorcery, contriving stories, making stories happen, forcing stories, numerical ritual that are like building blocks in a Jenga tower. You know, that's the moment we're at right now. So sometimes it is a tricky concept to describe this gematria and what these crazy people are doing with it. But what can't be denied is how often the code is used. Again, case in point, I in the 7 years I've been doing this, I can't think of the time I fielded a question and wasn't able to come back with an answer in moments. You know, I can't remember having to do more than, you know, 5 minutes of research to figure out, okay, I see what they're doing here. It's number games. All right, Truth Seeker, we'll leave it there. Until next time.